Hello. During Black History Month this year, I'll be exploring the origins of protest music in America, where it came from and how it's evolved over the decades. Protest songs have existed in America since the 18th century and have evolved to fit the culture of the current day. Protest songs typically serve to address some social, political, or economic concern through the means of musical composition. In the 19th century, American protest songs focused heavily on topics including slavery, poverty, and the Civil War, while the 20th century saw an increased popularity in songs pertaining to women's rights, economic injustice, and politics. In the 21st century, popular protest songs address police brutality and racism. In the early 20th century, Lawrence Gellert assembled a large body of over 500 protest songs, of which half included outspoken protests against the social condition of African Americans. This caused a lot of controversy, with some critics believing him to have made up the songs completely. Although the Gellert collection included the largest concentrated body of protest songs, there are quite a few others that have been recorded over the years. A large percentage of these songs were written and recorded during the Great Depression, when there was severe unemployment all over the United States, and it was at its worst among the minority population. Woody Guthrie was an American singer-songwriter and one of the most significant figures of American folk music. His work focused on themes of American socialism and anti-fascism. His most famous song, This Land Is Your Land, has inspired several generations both politically and musically. On its most basic level, it's a song about inclusion and equality. It celebrates America's splendor, but also criticizes the nation for failing to provide for its citizens during the Great Depression. Guthrie would go on to inspire many songwriters, including Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash, and Pete Seeger. One of the most famous and moving protest songs is Strange Fruit. The song was originally written as a poem by Abel Meeropol to express his horror over the lynching of Black Americans. He and his wife would perform the song in social settings around New York. The song received national attention when Billie Holiday began performing it at nightclubs. Holiday's recording of the song had an immediate impact, as she bitterly evoked the strange fruit of southern trees with blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Although she would perform the song until her death, it was so controversial that it destroyed her career. Music in general and protest songs in particular were especially significant during the Civil Rights Movement. The anthem of the movement, We Shall Overcome, which has its origins in slavery, was an important part of the rituals and traditions used to inspire and mobilize people to take part in a cause larger than themselves. Throughout the 1960s, freedom songs were as much a part of the movement as marches, sit-ins, and freedom rides. We heard songs chronicling the Civil Rights Movement from Curtis Mayfield, Nina Simone, James Brown, and Marvin Gaye. The 70s were full of songs speaking out against the Vietnam War. Chicago, Edwin Starr, Freda Payne, and Stevie Wonder all had protest songs during this time. The album Where Are You Now, My Son by Joan Baez was directly influenced by the war. The 80s saw more political protesting, with Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA and the Ramones' My Brain is Hanging Upside Down, both being critical of the Reagan administration. There was also counter-protest to these songs, like Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA, being a sort of protest song to the protest song. We still see this even today, with many groups protesting at each other's events. With the rise of hip-hop and rap, the 80s also saw lots of music focusing on discrimination and poverty in Black communities. Grandmaster Flash, NWA, and Public Enemy all had songs particularly decrying police violence. The late 20th century would see another wave of protesting for women's rights, with topics including sexism, sexual abuse, homophobia, reproductive rights, as well as racism and poverty. But for the most part, the 90s saw a decline in the popularity of protest songs in general. The first decade of the 21st century saw more protest songs than America had seen since the Vietnam War. The Iraq War, the Bush administration, GMOs, and climate change were all hot topics that inspired many artists to create not only songs, but sometimes whole albums. Springsteen put out the album We Shall Overcome, composed entirely of protest songs made popular by Pete Seeger. While climate change continues to be a large issue, more recent protest music has concerned the extrajudicial killings of men and women in Black communities. Beyoncé's Formation, J. Cole's Be Free, Kendrick Lamar's All Right all touch on police brutality. Childish Gambino's This Is America, which addresses gun violence and police brutality, would go on to win Record and Song of the Year at the 2019 Grammys. 20 years from now, we may see similar themes in protest songs or something completely new. One song and sentiment that will still ring true is Lift Every Voice and Sing. Written for the 91st anniversary of President Lincoln's birthday, it is referred to as the Black National Anthem and is still performed to this day. I'll leave you with the beautiful lyrics of this hymn, and if you're interested in listening to some protest songs, Freegal has an album called The Social Power of Music, which is free to listen to with your library card.
Support public libraries. Like, share, and subscribe for more great videos.